All right, will today be the day? I sure hope so, because I want to hear this thing run again. So we'll get going on that right after this. Welcome back. If you haven't seen my videos before, I'm Ross the Oliver Man. That sound you heard was probably my tool bag full of stuff falling off of the ladder, creating a very sad time for me, but that's fine. So while I pick that up, you go take a look at what I've done so far, at least the few pieces. So take a look at this. All right, so here we have freshly rebuilt carburetor. We have a new fuel pump, and we have a fuel line that I made that I think is more better than the original. You can see the original next to it for comparison. I might have got it slightly longer, but I think that'll be fine. So hopefully between all this stuff we can hear this thing run. All right, so in addition to that, things I have done since last time. I got the cap and wires made and got that put on there. I was able to get the water pump, actually wasn't stuck. It was hitting that shroud, and I was able to get that shroud bent down a little bit and get it spinning again freely. And then I realized that those grooves were pretty nasty, so I took the two belts off the other combine and used them on here with the idea that once it runs a while, it should hopefully clean up those grooves a little bit, and then we can put new belts on it later at some point. So that should all be ready to roll there. This was all apart. I got this back together with the belt put on there. It seems kind of tight, and that may not be the right size belt, but it may just be, again, that it's dirty or something. This is actually the unloader drive for your grain tank auger. That chain goes on the back side of this and runs up there to the cross auger in the grain tank, which also connects to your unloading auger and all that. So that is going to need attention at some point when we get that far, but that's a long ways off. The machine, I've had everything turning. The beater shaft turns, the cylinder turns, the walker drive turns, fan, all that. The only thing that is not, let's see here, what am I thinking of? I think everything is going to turn on it, is what I'm saying. The only things I had, that the chain for the head drive was rusted in a continuous shape, so we're gonna have to fix that. But the unloader drive, that's what I'm saying, that I showed a second ago, I think that it might be tight. I don't know, we'll figure it out. I have never really looked this over before in all the time that it's been here to really understand how this one was made. And I learned some things. It's just interesting. I was always told that the reason we never had brakes was because they were hydraulic and they just don't work. Well, they're not. They're manual brakes. And the reason we never had brakes is because they were stuck. And so, yeah, we could have had brakes all that time we were using it, but no. The instructions I were given was just slam the head to the ground if it gets away from you. So, yeah. So we'll get that working sometime when we get that far. Linkages are just going to need freed up a little bit. The clutch, I think, is moving a little bit. It's got a grease fitting. We can grease it, or maybe even take that bolt out and clean it up and go. Machine drive, I guess it would make sense to just open this up to talk about it. I turned the machine with the cylinder unchoker hub to see that everything was free. This is the way that it engages the machine, and what it does, your rod from the cab comes down, and when you pull it, it's got this pivoting linkage, and it actually, this is like a swing arm, and it just is going to pull and tighten these two belts, which are just hanging out loosely, see? So the swing arm is free. I mean, you can tell. I think my pivoting thing is not the freest, but like I said, we can get to this pretty easy, and we'll get that freed up, no problem. It probably was not the best before when we were using it even, you know. It probably never got grease because, I don't know, it just never got attention. That was before my time. I was just a spectator in those days. I know he never washed anything, absolutely not. It never ever saw any kind of cleaning or anything. So a lot of the trash was already there back when we were using it, but I'm hopeful that we're gonna have something. I know people are still laughing probably and saying, what a piece of garbage, but like I said, if it casts a shadow, it can be restored. The important things are here and they're not messed up too far beyond, you know, parts machine. We got everything we need. It's just a matter of labor to do this. So, and then eventually we can clean it up real nice and fix stuff that actually needed fixing while we were using it, probably like this all leaking, you know, and it probably could be using rebuilding. And I'm sure it fixed itself magically just sitting here doing nothing. But anyway, let's climb up the ladder and get to work. All right, dealer's choice where to start, but I think I'm going to start with the fuel pump. So I'm going to unbolt this junk one, and hopefully that line will come out of there easily, because I don't want to have to make that line if possible. That's kind of an unobstructed view, kind of sorter. Well, we've already thrown stuff to the ground once. So now I've been thinking about this, and I'm thinking that the red pliers might be the best tool to use on this, just because, well, see, that pump's gonna twist off, so we need another wrench to hold back, and amazingly it's gonna come loose. Although it may have not been tight, because what happened here was Grandpa switched the pumps from one to the other one, and so this is a junk one that actually came off the other one, I guess, at some point. And yeah, you know what I'm saying. He put it back together with enough thought that he wanted to keep this thing nice in case we ever needed to use it again. We never had to, but now I'm going to use it again anyway. And hopefully this is, I'm not going to do something stupid and ruin this fitting, but stupidity is my old friend. It may actually already be ruined looking at it. And the casual observer will notice that the fuel pump I got looks nothing like this. Well, the fuel pump I got looks more like the original one that's laying in the cab that has the built-in sediment bowl feature. And so that's what I'm going with. We're gonna roll with this one. And hopefully that won't cause us any sadness, but should actually cause us gladness, because hey, extra filtration. I need to get my fittings put together, make sure that everything's gonna go. I've actually not been feeling very good, so it's several days later. I still don't feel good, but we're gonna plug on with this because I don't want to run out of videos, A, and B, I want to hear this run too. I've been just laying there in the house thinking, man, I'd like to hear this thing run. Oh, what wonders this is. Our pot metal pump is just going so well. Okay, I had a little bit of a freak out there because I couldn't get my fittings to go in this pump. It's probably not the same kind of thread, but through peer pressure, when something's aluminum, you can make it go. So that's what I did. A little bit of a tap action, and she's good as new. Now, we're gonna have to figure this out, and I'm sure that this isn't gonna go easy, Because why would it, you know? See, the new one, you should be able to have a clear shot to the bolt instead of this style, which they could not make in a way that you could get it easily. This is basically the same fuel pump that's unlike the 2020 that I have, so I don't know. You gotta love fuel transfer pumps. They fail and they start putting fuel in your oil. Oh, it's a great time. I think this one just quit altogether, if I remember right. Well, this would actually be the one off of the other combine anyway, so I'm sure that it failed. And it's, yeah. Now, what does Ross do? Does Ross spend forever and ever scraping this old gasket off of here, which is permanently on there? Or does he just slather up a little dope on there and go again? Guess what he's gonna choose? You guessed it. I ain't taking that gasket off if it's already on there good. I'll put a little miracle salve on the new pump and we'll call her quits. I hope that hits that cam. It must be all the way back. The other one felt like it was, so yeah. All right. We'll know with this style because you'll be able to see it through the glass. Another benefit of this. Oh, how I love thee. Let me count the ways. I can't get my fat fingers in there. I got donkeys coming over here. Donkeys to the left of me. Cows to the right of me. And I'm stuck here in the middle with you. Hee-haw, hee-haw. Getting pneumonia to do this for you? Sure. Why not? I can't tell. It should be going, but let's switch to the other one and do like a back and forth situation there. Holy Knutson. Okay, I guess you can't get to that like I thought you could better. So it might actually be worse, but that's fine. That side's fine. This side makes me question my life choices. I'm pretty sure it's tight. Okay, can we get this one in there started? I think we actually need to go just a slight bit more on this. More on. More on. There. Oh, the beauty of this. Okay, well, the good news is I'm a total failure. That's the good news. Not really. I just needed to go a little bit more. But I think what I'll do is put it in the holder first so I'm not fighting myself. Then I should have also, and I did not do, wrap that wire around and around and around. For a minute there, I thought I didn't have the camera on and I was just talking to myself, but that would have been even worse. That would have been the icing on the cake of sadness here. Well, I'm just doing terrible here. Of course, you can't see. because I'm not a very good video maker. I just point the camera in one spot and never show anybody anything. Okay, well. See, that's what we're gonna have when we're done. And we're off by just a little bit. Problem is, I'm running out of steam. I'm just not feeling well enough to hit this project full bore. Well, then I'm not smart enough either, apparently, because I'm making stupid decisions. Okay, see, technically I could probably peer pressure that in, but it's just not the right angle. I wish I could get it slightly more not at that angle, but I don't know if I can do it with the thing on the machine here. See, that's gonna cause sadness if I do that. Come on, red fires, don't let me down. There. Oh, that's beautiful. That worked out just amazing. I can't believe it. Oh, awesome. I am loving the way that turned out, because this perfectly fits in there. I couldn't have done better if I tried. As a matter of fact, if I would have tried, I would have made it worse. But now what I'm doing is I'm trying to correctly put these little things back on, wrap this wire around the new fuel line. I think I got it pretty good. I'll have to do the other side from the inside the grain tank, because I can't reach it from back here, but that's fine. Oh yeah, hopefully we don't have a meltdown, you know. Wouldn't that be sad after all this? Immediately melt it down. I hope not. All right, so I think that's going to wrap up this side. I think I got everything. I got some new battery cables, so I'll do that last. But this side is basically ready to run. We've got to put the carburetor on, and then we've got a couple things to do on the ground, such as sediment bowl, pull that out, because I'm sure it's sadness. We're not even going to go there till we figure that out. And then I also want to get the throttle and choke linkages unstuck, and I believe that their sticking is on the side of the machine. It's got rods, and it changes it has like a pivot point, and I think that's where it's rusted solid. So we'll get that freed up and then go again. But we're going to climb in the grain tank, which is just always a wonderful time. So yeah, let's get in there. Oh yeah, remember when we found out that there's nothing that you can step on to do this? Oh, what a nice small area that they gave us to do this, you know. But maybe I'm wrong about where it's stuck, but I don't think it's here. I really think it's on the side. If not, I guess we'll have to come up here again and figure out what we could do. There's a couple pivot points right there, but oh well, we'll figure that out in due time. We need to finish threading our fuel line. I think that's got that. I think this will work. But I thought I'd scrape it a little bit. Most of the gasket was on the carburetor, so there really shouldn't be anything left here. Really shouldn't be anything left here. Okay. Let's give it Give out a little scraping there. Alright. Are we happy yet? Oh, we're never happy. You can always talk yourself into that it could be better. But at some point, you just got to roll with it. Alright. So what do we have going for us here? Well, I think we can get all the linkages at the end, so we're not doing that. The governor had that the Ford style clip, so we can get that easy. I remember that now. We're gonna need to cut ourselves our new hose, and we probably should do that right now. But there again, how much do we go? We're gonna guess a little bit, I think, and then we've got more in case we screw it up horribly, that we can do it a second time. Trying to give you a good view, but we've been down this road before. It's all sadness, we know that. Let's go there. That's beautiful. Carburetor. How did we do this before? I think what we did was we hooked up the fuel line and we hooked up that back governor jobby first, didn't we? Because there was just absolutely no room to do it any other way. So we're gonna do that first. There we go. So I'm gonna need to tighten it in that orientation. So gotta get my adjustable, because that is 5/8 and we didn't bring one because we're not too smart. Yeah, that's real nice, isn't it, when you go do something like that. I'm gonna hope that that's in there correctly. Looks about like it did when we took it off, except shinier. That's what we want. Alright. Again, I wish I could get you a better view, but that just ain't gonna happen. I mean, it's everything I can to just work through this hole. I'm trying to get this rod to go through that little brass job so I can put the clip on it. And it may be that, there we go. I think that's what it was. Yeah, I was just in a bind. Okay, so that's there. Now I have to think about this. The governor is going to be trying to shove it. Well, we'll worry about that later. Let's get it mounted up there before we get the other two rods on. Come on. See, I knew that would happen. And I don't want to drop it because then I got to climb out of the grain tank. Maybe if I put one on this side to help hold it up there. There. Now I can get this one started maybe. Well, holy canoodsin, we got that. Getting the rubber hose put on was kind of a trick there, but I think it's fine now, and nothing feels like it's hitting anything. I'm gonna leave this cover off for now because we may be having to come back up here and give it attention. I don't know, but at least we can crawl out of here and now work on the stuff on the ground. Okay, now the obvious, most logical next place to go would be taking this extremely rusty fuel line out of the sediment bowl and pulling it out of here, because I'm sure it's nasty in there. I'm guessing that this is probably 9/16 there. That's half, but we're not going to use that. We're going to try red pliers again, because they give you the benefit of clamping force whilst you're doing it, which I like. I think that, yeah, see what we're getting into there? The line ain't gonna turn, and that sucks. It might turn if we're patient. If we're patient and we go back and forth, if we could hold that line still. Well, the red pliers clamp down enough to do that. No, I don't think they will. They're too smooth. And again, we might just be crushing this rusty line. This is what we're doing. That actually, no, that looks like copper. Now, how can it be that a copper line is not playing nice here? Well, I'm wondering if I could go what is going on here? See, that's gonna twist off. Shoot! I thought we had it, but we don't. Well, we knew that was gonna happen, but it's pretty rusty, so is it really a loss? I got another piece of line. I just really didn't want to go through the trouble, but I don't think that it's long enough to go all the way up there, so we're gonna have to choose a spot and compression it in, I guess. That's probably all that I've got on hand. Rust is coming out of every orifice, so that's great. I have had this moving, so it's hopeful that that's gonna work. This is like the style that you'd find on the old 2-cylinder Deeres, you know? It's very much like that, with that 90-degree thing on the shutoff. See, that would be tight, so this would be loose. Oh, fluid is coming out. No way. Gas? I did not expect that. Okay, we're gonna get something to contain that in, just because I don't want it making such a huge mess. But that's good. If gas is coming out of it, why, the tank may not be totally full of garbage. It may be actually somewhat nice. Probably not, but I wonder if I can get this loose. I bet the thing would have fired up if I'd have just put a battery in it. As much as it's going on here, just makes you wonder, don't it? Okay, let's go. Let's keep. Oh. That's gonna mess up. That's fine though. We can. I think Grandpa made that actually. Now that I look at it, it's a piece of bolt sawed in two. Does gas come out of it? Yeah, we're gonna table that. I'll get a pipe plug and we can plug it off, or we'll drain it into a bucket or something and see what we got. I have no idea how much is in there, but I guess it could have been the kind of thing where the day he quit using it, whatever was in there was in there. But if it was modern day gas, it would have all evaporated away by now. But we got to make us a new fuel line, and probably compression or in somewhere up in this neighborhood. We'll figure that out. The next thing on our affair before we try it is this throttle linkage. I'm not getting anywhere moving anything. And so if I do this, here's the rod. It's supposed to hold this up. Just like that. Back up in here, right there, are pivoting throttle linkages and choke linkage. And I believe that it is stuck right here on both. And I bet if I took that loose, both ends would move. So that's what I'm gonna do, take those out and see if I can clean up or what I gotta do to make this go. Because we need to be able to have some control over this wild horse when it inevitably takes off and tries to blow itself to pieces. Oh, now, okay, there we go. I'm gonna say, one would have thought that I would have brought some better stuff, but I didn't. This cable here is actually the cable that goes to the thing that does the grain tank unloading. And I don't know why he tied that wire there, if that was to, when he was trying to replace that belt, he used that. Well, the camera went dead, and a lot has happened since then. I got that all taken apart, cleaned up and greased, and I tried both ends. The cab end is super duper free now. Well, the GoPro's not playing nice for some reason, but a lot has taken place. I managed to get that linkage cleaned up and greased. I got the cab end free. It wasn't at first, but I found a can of old liquid wrench in there and sprayed that on there, and that stuff must have been made back in the time when it was cancer causing and actually worked, because that got her freed up really good. And then I sprayed some on this end. The pivoting linkage back in there, I guess, is a little stiff too, but it works. I got water in it. It has got a little drip. I would assume that probably from being sitting dry all the time. The old water pump's probably, yeah. So, you know, maybe it'll come back around as we let it soak and get going. I got that cleaned up, drained out the gas. Turns out there was like over 10 gallons of gas in that tank. That would break old granddaddy's heart, knowing that he had all that gas sitting here the whole time and never used it. And I don't know that it's really worth putting in anything now, or it just cause trouble. I might thin it down and run it in stuff, but we'll see. So I made a new fuel line for there. Didn't have a long enough one, so I was gonna compression it, and then I thought that's foolish, so I got another end I had, and just made new all the way up to the pump. Gave that thing like 6 hand primes, and it filled with fuel. So I think we got something here. I am going to put on some new battery cables I bought the other night, and then I'll go get the battery probably out of Freddy, and we'll see if we can't make this thing come to life. All right, I think we're ready to roll. I'm so confident, I'm just gonna go in the cab and try to start it from there. We'll see if we got any lights. I'm not understanding my GoPro situation right now, so telephone it is. All right, power. Nothing. Oh. Well, we might have to be getting a test light. All right, well, I knew that would be too simple to be true. So I'll get a test light. We'll make sure we're really getting ground, and we'll see if we can't make her fire to life. All right, let's start with the positives. The positives are, if I jump her from the coil to the battery, I can hear the little solenoid on the carburetor clicking. So it's working. That's good. That's about the only thing we got going for us. I have 0 power getting to the cab, so I don't know why that's a surprise. I guess another positive is that hose is leaking, so maybe it's not the water pump after all. But I can't crank it from the seat. So I've been back here and I jumpered across and got it to turn over. It's been chewing on that oil I put down the cylinders. But I didn't have enough hands, so I made me a jumper wire that I bolted on there so I can put on the battery to turn the ignition on. And I'm gonna try to give it a shot of some magic juice and see if I can't get it to, well, first what I'm gonna do, I guess, is crawl all the way down and get my magic juice back, because it decided to just fall off when I said its name. All right, ignition, cranking, come on, crank, come on, there we go, look at that, oh. First run in however many years. Now, that's cool and all. Oop, let's turn the ignition off. The only problem is, apparently, I have it idled down too much in the cab. And I'm gonna have to open it up a little and let her rip, I guess. I'm gonna go in the cab, and even though it's my bad decisions, I'm gonna rev her up and we're gonna try it again. Okay. It may be that I interfered with top speed when I rebuilt the carburetor, so we may have to revisit that. Anyway, ignition, yes, cranking, yeah, it doesn't sound good, does it? It kind of always sounded like that, though. It never sounded like, oh, there my fuel pump's pumping again. Maybe I was just in the wrong orientation. Boy, she don't sound like she's overwhelmingly high of compression, does she? But like I said, I feel like it was always that way. It never was. It always sounded kind of like that when you start it up, and then it would just take off and go. Should we just... Jeez. Well, that's no fun. I mean, I thought we had her licked, and then she just let us down. I don't know what else to do to her here, see? Today. We could pull all the spark plugs back out and spray some juice down in there. Try to bring that back to the way it should be. I just wish it would run. If it'd take off and run, it would get better as it ran, because that's the way engines are. They will build compression whilst they run. But I'm just not seeing it for some reason. Just ain't happening. I don't know why. I think we're gonna just call this one here today. I'm out of energy and I'm out of success. We did hear it run for a second, so we know we can replicate that result. We're just gonna have to work on it a little more, which is fine. It really needs to, if I could keep it running, that is what it needs. It'll build compression probably. The rings are probably a little bit stuck right now from sitting. I mean, so get it run and heat it up. We should have something, but we got projects for future videos, is what I'm saying. We need to get the water leak stopped. So we'll probably grab on a couple radiator hoses for it, and that'll fix that trouble. And then, like I said, we'll have a good charged up battery next time we mess with it. So we're just gonna call this here and off. We'll get it running again in another video, but for now I'm gonna call her quits, because we're about out of daylight, and like I said, I'm over it. So we'll catch you in the next one, I guess.